So Jerome, welcome back to Broadhurst Park. In your career at FC United, you covered 10 seasons, 400 competitive appearances, 64 yellows, 6 reds, 82 goals, and at last count somewhere over 100 assists.
Yeah.
It's by far the most appearances for FC United. You've got nearly 90. We've got 95 more than Matty Wolfenden, who's second highest appearance scorer with 305. Chances are that your appearance record for FC United will never be beaten.
Nice.
And it's an impressive record. Having said all that, how's it going to feel turning out against FC United in the Manchester Premier Cup in a couple of weeks?
Well, this will be the second time, I believe, because the first time was many years ago. But I've not played for FC United for a good few years now, so I think it'll just be pure excitement rather than nerves. If it was closer to the time of when I left, I think I might have been a little bit nervous, a bit apprehensive to play against them, but no, it'll be pure enjoyment to see everybody, all the old faces. I'm not sure I know too many of the players. I think just Jan Palinkas and Curtis, is he still playing?
Yes, he is, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know too many of the players, personally, I don't know who they are, but it'll be just more exciting to see all the fans.
Okay, I mean, you mentioned the first time you faced FC United.
Yeah.
Scarily, that was literally 16 years ago. It was the 4th of November 2006, the Main Road.
Nearly to the day, 2 weeks ago.
Nearly to the day. Do you remember much from that appearance?
Yeah, I could remember everything about it. The night before. Me and my friend Chappie lived together, and the whole team was just so excited because FC United had thousands of fans watching. We had the usual 30, 40 people just coming at Main Road, just friends and family. And FC United being the biggest non-league team in the whole country, it was the biggest football game of our lives, all the lads who played. So I remember on the Friday night in Disbury, there's a little pub called The Griffin, and that's where all of the Main Road local supporters are from and drink. So we went in there on the Friday, had a couple of drinks to settle the nerves, and then we got a Chinese, and we was up all night just watching Jean-Claude Van Damme films. That was it. It was probably up to 1 in the morning, and then the next day we went to get the coach. In the morning we went to get the coach. We had beans on toast. All 20 lads had beans on toast, and then coach down to Staley Bridge, and it was one of the best games I've ever played in.
Okay, any particular key highlights?
It's a game I remember looking at, I didn't really know them at the time, but looking back, Steve Spencer, Rory Patterson, Stuart Rudd, they were like beasts. They were big, massive, strong, fast. I hated them, but now I love them to bits. Key moment is nearly lobbing Sam Ashton from halfway line, but it didn't go in.
It was billed, or it felt like a bit like United versus City, obviously, because FC United is the United fans club. The Main Road are set up as City's fan.
Yeah, like a non-league derby, Manchester derby.
The first time we won the Frank Hanna Cup, you lifted it at the trophy at Brownie Park. Have you got any good memories from that day?
Oh yeah, it was an awful game. I was awful. Because it's a final, you get too excited getting to a final, and when it's on a night, the pitch weren't nice, but the stadium was just new, I think, at the time. So it's a nice stadium, but the grass was not the best. I remember our goal, I think the right back scored from it was a crossover. He just booted it and it went over the keeper. It was 1-0.
That was Jake Williams in the third minute.
JW, that's the one, yeah. He scored from right back. But before the game, I was after, I don't know, but during that game is when Greaves and all the rest of the boys gave me a FC United shirt with 400 print on the back of it, because that must have been my 400th game, and it was in a frame, and they all got me some champagne and some treats. So that was a bit emotional that day, for that reason, for a personal reason. Then we was lucky enough to win the cup that day, so we've got plenty of pictures of us jumped in the crowd with the champagne and all the celebrations. So it was a good feeling to win the cup, but I remember the game. It was awful.
Yeah, and Boundary Park's notoriously difficult to
Yeah.
play. There's actually the picture of you spraying the champagne.
Yeah, they're the
end
two
there
pictures I've got.
is in the tunnel
Oh, is
downstairs.
it?
Basically, we have a wall with photos of all basically the trophies we won and the
Oh, yeah.
presentations, etc. And that's one of the.
Oh, well, that's have a
pride
look
of
later.
place. I mean, speaking of trophies, obviously you won a few with FC.
Yeah.
Any others that stand out?
Which ones stand out? None really. You know, but I suppose winning the league counts as winning a trophy. So the best time of winning the league was when Greg Daniels scored the header at Curzon Square, I think it was. So that trophy was the best one. I think just because it was just a good season. We played so well all season and we enjoyed it. Everyone was training was full. No one gave it crappy excuses to not turn up to training. Everyone came to all of the games if he was injured, if he was not in the squad. So it just felt like a good squad. Everyone was together. So that whole season was just pure enjoyment. And then the pressure towards nearly winning something. So the last few games, the pressure builds up and you expected to win, you want to win, and it all builds up. And then when Greg scored the header at Curzon, it was just the best feeling ever. The best time I can remember of winning a trophy.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I mean, you would have been with FC through a number of like playoff heartbreaks. I mean, there was the one v Ashton in the semi-final, which was really painful at gig. And then there was a time obviously at Colwyn
Wait,
Bay.
just don't stop you there, just in case Ashley watches this. I think Ashley missed a couple of chances from inside 6-yard box at Gig Lane, and the Bagley's always hammering for it, and Rodri. Sorry.
It's all good. And then obviously it was Colwyn Bay, where you and Norts basically probably had two most prolific.
The week before, yeah.
Two most prolific forward players were basically both suspended.
On the last day. I remember that one, yeah. We and it was a bad sending off. I think we both got 2 yellows in it. I'm sure it was the same game. So we were suspended for the playoff final, yeah. That was a long time ago, that though.
What was different about that season that took FC United to the title?
It's just a combination of everything, such as you've got to be lucky. So injury-wise, so when you have a good squad around 15 to 20 players, we had, most teams have like 13, 14 that could start, and 11 you wouldn't really know who to take out. But we had around 20 that could start and you wouldn't really question. So it was just the depth of quality we had in the squad. And then we didn't get too many injuries, but if we did, then it was a good player to take that spot. And once you get momentum, for whatever reason, well, it was all of the boys and the staff, the personality, you just keep on top of that momentum, and it just carried us that year.
Okay, cool. Obviously you've been at Wythenshawe, you mentioned 3 seasons now. You're the captain of Wythenshawe. Are you still playing left back?
Yeah. I'm not fast enough to be left wing anymore.
Yeah. I mean, how did you find it? I mean, obviously you started off at FC as sort of like in that forward position.
Yeah.
And then sort of like, obviously you moved back, but you're still contributing, weren't you? In terms of attacking as well as defending.
I remember this when I chat to the younger kids, when I try and give them advice, whether they listen to me, I don't know. But I remember a few times, especially at Gig Lane, I don't know why, when Margie started to every now and again take me from left mid to left back, I used to just sulk because of that. Like, defending's boring when you're younger. You just want to score all the goals or be involved with all the goals. So I used to hate him, and I used to think, like, why is he putting me left back? Like, if I'm one of the best wingers, leave me as a winger. And he'd done it every now and again, a few weeks later. And then I started to realise, because he let me moan because I still did my job. But I started to realise, because it was fit, he didn't put nobody left wing. So I was left back to be a defender, but I was fit enough to get forward. So obviously that was the thinking behind it. And then as I got older, I started to enjoy being left back more. I'm not really sure why. It's just a different mentality when you turn up. And then he let me stay left back.
Yeah. Were you the captain at that point as well?
Yeah, I was captain at left back. Yeah, I was captain when I was in defence, yeah.
Yeah, so do you think basically being captain, you had a better view from left back of the game?
Well, never mind captain or not, as a defender, like the keeper or defender, you're watching the whole game, yeah. So I think it's a lot easier to be a left back than a left winger. So that's might be why I enjoyed it more, because it's a little bit easier. Because you've only got to stop the guy from doing his tricks or doing anything with the ball. He's passing, just turn him round. But as a striker or an attacking player, you've just got to run past someone all with your fancy tricks or get a ball in the box. It's a lot harder than just defending.
Yeah. And obviously, you're with the show now. How are you enjoying that?
Oh, it's brilliant. The lads are amazing. The last 3 years, we've always been close to the promotion. I don't know if it was three teams, so 1 automatic and then 2 for the playoffs. 2 years ago and last year. But this year, I think it's only 2 go up. And we are currently sitting joint top with Vauxhall. But the last couple of years, we've always been close, but just fizzled out, and we lost silly games away, like against teams in the bottom 5. And this year, we don't seem to be, not yet, touch wood, not making any mistakes like that. Now it looks like we've got a real chance to get promoted.
Fantastic. So obviously confident going into the game against FC.
I think it'll be Wythenshawe 5, FC 0. No joke, don't. No, I think they're going to wallop us 5-0 now, aren't they? Yeah, we're confident just because we're playing well, and it's nice to play a higher team because they'll be probably better than us. Some of our lads could play in this league or league above, but as a team, you've got to say they're better than us, obviously, because they're in a higher league. So I'd imagine there'll be a lot of fans watching. So all of our players are excited just to play a better team, a higher team, test ourselves, and then play in front of hundreds or thousands of people watching, giving us a lot of grief.
So with that in mind, obviously you're going to see a lot of the FC fans down there at Ericson Park in just over a week or two. Any messages you want to share with the FC fans?
Any messages? Thank you, and I love every single one of them.
What a lovely way to end it.
And if they're staying for a drink, I'll be at the game for a drink afterwards.
Not buying though?
Not buying,
no.
Not 1,000 pints.
Oh, okay. Well, Jerome, it's always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks so much for coming down today. Appreciate it, and I'll see you.
You're welcome. Thank you as well. It's a pleasure.